Hey, Carl here with Columbia Water Gardens. It's day number 2, and I am exhausted. I'm not helping today. I'm drinking my coffee, but I'm still going to show you, I'm still going to walk you around and let you see, because earlier in this video, there wasn't any water in the pond, and the reason why was because the well dried up. So we had to let the well recharge overnight and pump this sucker up, because it's not just the pond that needed to be filled up, it's also the wetland area up top. So I'm going to kind of walk you through a couple of areas up here behind, let you kind of see and envision what this is going to look like before the water, before the electricity is turned on and the pumps can run. So earlier I talked to you in the video about these two sequenced Titan pumps. One of them is about, I think, 18,000 gallons an hour. Another one I think is 13,000. So just under 30,000 gallons an hour worth of water. And I'll let you guys see that also in the video. Some of the problems that needed to be solved with that to be able to get these pumps to prime, as well as other things that have to be ready before that much water flows into the intake bay. So come on over here and I'll show you. Remember I showed you earlier in the video this hollowed out cedar log? So I really love this area here because this becomes kind of like a safe habitat for fish to be able to not necessarily swim into and out of, but the outside environment to be able to interact with the pond. That's something that's new. I mean, usually we'll take hollowed out logs and make waterfalls out of them, but I really love the idea of creating this southwestern arroyo, as Ed Ballou pointed out, this area here just to allow animals and critters to be able to kind of come in, have a safe place to drink and exit and come on back out. Let's go over here. So one of the problems that we had yesterday was this back corner of the wetland area. And this entire back corner of the wetland area, from the left of Jill, where that stump is, all the way wrapped around to where that log is over here, the liner was actually set, just in my opinion, it was too low. Let me explain to you what had happened there. You've got close to 20,000 gallons an hour worth of water that's going to rise up into this upper pool that basically is spilling into this lower pool. And the problem with that is that water flows at the rate of 100 gallons per hour per horizontal inch, and that generates about a quarter of an inch worth of water in motion. The problem with that is that here's a pinch point here basically where water is flowing out of, and underneath Jill there's another pinch point basically there the water is flowing out of. And that creates a backup when you have too much water that's going into the wetland. As that water backs up, it needs to be able to have a place to be able to displace. And that's why we recommend, whenever we install a wetland filter, for your liner to be anywhere from 4 to 6 inches above your lowest spillway point. So we kind of had to do some tricky edging over there, and I'll show you what we did.
But we wanted to rebrand the Aquascape Foundation.
So when we got started, the edging on this entire corner here was down just about level with this portion here of the log. But what you don't see, and this is kind of like a little bit of a trick in the camera angles or whatever, but what you don't see is that this edge here is high, but the liner wasn't much higher than the top of the vault cap. And with that liner not being that much higher than the top of the vault cap, at that point we were maybe 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches above the spillway. So we had to kind of create a little bit of a planter pocket over here, backfill a lot of stuff, stack some vertical rocks, and you would be surprised, but now the liner is just underneath the edge of this stone here. Keeping with the theme of this wetland, we had to cut and decorate this this tree stump basically, and incorporate that in, soften up this edge over here. And then in addition to that, morning Jeremy. In addition to that, we had one other problem that was going on, and it was in this section here. So what you also can't see is there is liner that's coming right up to the edge here of this framing stone. And so the problem with that is that there was no way to be able to, if we pulled this liner here, If we had pulled this liner here all the way up against this rock, and if in this section here, if there was even just that much of a little bit of a dribble, it would have backed up and gone over this edge. So what we did is, instead of taking this liner and edging it right up against the edge of the stone here, we pulled that liner back and edged it against this one and backfilled it with a bunch of cobble like this to create what we call a relief point. And that relief point allows water, and there might be some, this is heavily foamed in over here. Here, let me get that for you. So there's water this is heavily foamed over here, but there could be water that could dribble along this area over here. There's a high point in the liner at this point that allows it to go back down this way. So, complicated stuff, but when you're dealing...
Don't fall in.
I know. Don't want to do that even for the channel. But when you're dealing with the huge volume of water over here, believe it or not, it's not very forgiving. And so these are all the little attention to detail, those last minute touches that have to be made on a project of this scale. And like I explained to you guys yesterday or earlier on in this video, or part one, or however I'm going to edit this thing out, this project is just under $100,000. So for $100,000, any leak is absolutely, thoroughly not acceptable on any level. Or for that matter, not even for $5. If you got a pond that's worth $1,500, it can leak. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about these pumps. So, I think it's actually kind of funny that Aquascape would put their sticker on these pumps. I'm wondering if they're going to private label them. Yeah, they sure are. So, they actually put a private label on these. A couple of things I love about these motors. These are ball door motors. They're the finest copper wound motors that are available in the industry. Here's the problem with priming this. We do have a check valve down here inside the intake bay. However, even with the check valve inside that intake bay, we still need to be able to prime it for the very first time. And that's what these caps are here for. So we can unscrew this, take a hose, prime the motor. Water goes down to the check valve stops the backflow of water, and now this thing is ready to be fired up. One thing that was really interesting is this bigger one over here, this one that's coming off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the bigger of the two. No, this is it. This 18,000, this is it. So normally this motor is a 3-phase motor, but it was specially designed by Sequence or MDM Manufacturing to be a single-phase motor. And what's also really interesting is that it can be wired as 115 or 230 volts. 115 volts is an absolute waste of electricity, but 230 is going to kind of save some energy on this. I'm guessing that our energy consumption between the two of these guys is probably going to be just less than maybe 30 amps or so. So I'm hoping that they put a 50 amp sub panel out here someplace. So that's it for right now. We've got, and hang on, don't go away. So we've got a few more finishing touches. A lot of plantings are going on inside this pond. And then they're going to fire this thing up, and we're going to test run it for the first time here pretty soon. But I want to encourage you about something. And I want to kind of speak some life into you guys that are watching this video. This is something I couldn't have done when I got started in this industry years ago. But it's being surrounded with really great, solid people that has allowed me to explore the country, do some things that I never would have dreamed that I was able to do before in the past. And I want you to know that you can do this too. Surround yourself with positive people and live an awesome life, because you absolutely deserve that. You're awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down, but explain why. I respond to 100% of all comments on all that everybody leaves on my channel. In the meantime, I'm Carl with Columbia Water Gardens, and I'm here to remind you that you are outstandingly awesome. Happy ponding.